The UK government has been testing whether artificial intelligence can predict who might commit murder in the future. They called it the Homicide Prediction Project. Later, they softened the name, sharing data to improve risk assessment. Different title, same unsettling idea. The following is a reflection on a project that sounds like pure science fiction. And it has strong undertones of the Minority Report movie, starring Tom Cruise. Yet it is very real, unfolding in our time. So here's the question. If an algorithm quietly flagged you as high risk, even before you had ever committed a crime, what would that mean for your freedom? The existence of the Homicide Prediction Project had been kept secret. It didn't emerge from a press announcement or official briefing. It was uncovered by investigative civil society. The civil liberties group, State Watch, accessed the project accidentally through its investigations. Armed with these documents, The Guardian and The Times published exposés revealing the project's name, its data sources, and its potentially disturbing scope. The Guardian noted that the project had been renamed from Homicide Prediction Project to Sharing Data to Improve Risk Assessment, while The Times labeled it a chilling tool. Famous at its core, this project is a collaboration between the UK's Ministry of Justice, the police, and the Home Office. Its purpose? Take massive amounts of personal data, feed it into algorithms, and see whether AI can find patterns that identify who might commit homicide in the future. The numbers are staggering. Somewhere between 100,000 and 500,000 records have been pulled into the system. These aren't just convicted criminals. They may include suspects, victims, witnesses, and individuals under safeguarding concern. Imagine being recorded as a possible future killer simply because you were once a witness to a crime. And it doesn't stop there. The system pulls in health markers, mental health struggles, addictions, disabilities, even histories of self-harm. So what happens when your hospital record, something you trusted to your doctor, becomes evidence against the future version of you? In frequent small steps, we are seeing that governments are handing control over to AI and to the private sector that creates the AI. But what is another way of saying frequent steps? We could call it running. Are we running to hand over control? Let me know your thoughts below. Do you think the human race is safe as control is handed over to AI more and more? And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. On paper, the promise is compelling. What if AI could truly prevent the most serious crime of all? If lives could be saved by spotting the early signs of a potential killer, who wouldn't want that? It echoes an old dream of justice systems everywhere. Prevention instead of punishment. Safety instead of fear. But the line between prevention and prediction is thin, and once crossed, it's hard to step back. This isn't the only place the UK is testing AI. Inside prisons, AI models already exist to identify inmates at risk of committing violence before it happens. Officials feed in data on age, behavior, and communications. One tool has scanned over 8.6 million messages from confiscated phones, uncovering plans for escape, trafficking, even assaults. On the surface, it sounds smart, but it means every message, even private ones to family, can be swept into the dragnet. Would you still speak freely if you knew every text, every call, might one day be read not by a human, but by an algorithm deciding if you're violent? Another project is called Knife Hunter. Built by the University of Surrey with the Metropolitan Police, it uses AI to match knives found at crime scenes to known models sold by retailers. The system has a 99% success rate, even with poor lighting or odd camera angles. Police say it helps trace weapons back to their source. But here's the darker side. Once a technology like this exists, could it track every knife bought, every blade carried, every kitchen tool or DIY tool owned in the wrong place? What begins as solving crime can slide into predicting who might commit one. On the streets of London, Manchester, and Cardiff, facial recognition vans are already scanning crowds. AI compares faces against watch lists of suspects in real time. The police say it works. Hundreds of arrests have been made this way. But critics point out the flaws. The systems misidentify women and people of color at higher rates. The tech is deployed at carnivals, protests, and in busy shopping districts. So ask yourself, is the goal really public safety? Or is it quiet population control? With these projects as background, the Homicide Prediction Project feels less like an experiment and more like the next logical step. The Ministry of Justice insists it is just research. No judicial decisions are being made. Not yet. But how many times have we heard that phrase? Just research, before a tool becomes reality. Once an algorithm shows promise, the temptation to deploy it becomes almost irresistible, especially in a society fearful of crime, unrest, or terrorism. In the UK, people are already careful of their tweets, with very severe prison time for a single tweet that the present political climate views as inappropriate. Here is where law collides with technology. Under GDPR, health and criminal records are special category data. They require the highest level of protection. Yet in this project, they are fed wholesale into an algorithm. No consent, no public consultation, not even transparency until journalists uncovered it. If the state can take the most private part of your life and repurpose it in secret, what privacy do you really have left? And there's a deeper concern: bias. Predictive policing has a history of reinforcing systemic inequalities. If, for example, anti-immigration protests are over-policed, their data will show higher arrest rates, which then feeds an AI to say, this group is more dangerous. And suddenly, discrimination is no longer a flaw in the system. It becomes encoded as the system itself. And this isn't just a UK story. In Chicago, predictive policing programs tried to generate heat lists of people most likely to be involved in shootings. The Chicago Heat List had the official name of the Strategic Subject List, SSL. The result? Thousands of innocent people flagged, communities feeling watched, almost no measurable drop in violence. The Heat List was dropped in 2019. The European Union, through the AI Act, is now pushing to ban certain types of predictive policing. Lawmakers fear the very same issues: bias, loss of freedoms, erosion of trust. When governments around the world are debating whether these systems are ethical at all, should the UK really be pushing forward in secret? In 2022, the Journal of Criminal Justice published new research: Explainable Machine Learning for Predicting Homicide Clearance. The use of AI in combating crime or future crime is going to increase. See, this is how freedoms are lost, not in one dramatic moment, but step by step, first in prisons, then in knife tracking, then in the crowds at festivals, and finally, in the private details of your own health record. Each tool begins with the same justification: safety, and each one erodes a little more of the private space that makes freedom real. The danger is not that AI will be too powerful. The danger is that we will quietly accept it, one dataset at a time, until humans are no longer safe from the watchful gaze of AI. Leave your thoughts below. Dear friends, we will meet again soon in a new video detailing how governments are using artificial intelligence to monitor and control us. Yeah.